Hello everyone, Luna Gamer Alex here. We're playing some Marvel Champions. I haven't played this in a while, but a while as in a couple of years. I keep buying the expansions and hero packs, but I need to spend more time playing the game. But yeah, I'm doing this thing where I want to do Rogue and Jubilee versus the world. So I'm going to be using these two characters, and we're going to be doing all of these scenarios, campaigns, encounters. That we have in the game using both of these characters. I'm using the default deck right now, but it's might look into customizing the decks, because once I have more experience playing as these characters, I've never played them before. So yeah, the I used to play a lot of Scarlet Witch, one-handed, just Scarlet Witch. But I want to try just doing two-handed, because I think it's more challenging, because the enemy actually gets a boost in HP. Even though the game, I think using just a single hero is usually a little bit more stressful. So because when you have two heroes, you can have one hero focus on thwarting and the other hero focus on damage. It's kind of hard to do that when you're just playing one hero. I mean, based on my experience, but I haven't played this game that much, so I'm not very experienced when it comes to the mechanics of this game, and hopefully I still remember how to play the game. But anyway, I played I played a little bit of this last night, but I made a bunch of mistakes, so I've decided to redo the whole thing. Made some major mistakes when it comes to the cost of playing cards, and I think it really changed the difficulty of the game, because I was able to get Rhino all the way down to like 7 HP very quickly, and then I realized that the reason why that happened was because I wasn't playing the game correctly. So hopefully I'm gonna do it properly this time around. So alright, let me just adjust the camera here real quick, because I think it's starting to get dark. Just want to make sure that we can see what's going on. Whoops. Okay. Do this. Turn that off. Okay, we're good for now. Alright, so we're gonna start with Rogue. And there's a forced response here with this character. After the player phase begins, find touch and set it aside. So we have touch here, so we can touch someone, and then gain traits as well as buffs, actually, depending on the entity that's being touched. If I touch a villain, I get Retaliate 1. If I touch an ally, I get Burial. If I touch another hero, I gain Stalwart. What is Stalwart? What is Stalwart? Character cannot be stunned or confused. Oh, okay. It's not even that great of a buff. Okay, so we won't be touching Jubilee. Oh, before. See, I'm messing up already. We actually get 5 cards. We have to draw 5 cards at the beginning of the game, and then we have to decide whether or not we want to mulligan. I was only up to like the 3rd round when I decided to restart the game. So oh, armor, preemptive struck, karma. I think we should get rid of the cards that are, that have like high cost to play. We'll keep Flash of Light. We'll definitely keep Plasmoid Energy for Jubilee. I think I'm going to go ahead and mulligan these 3 cards because they cost too much. So we'll mulligan those 3. And then get 3 more cards here. Oh, nice. Oh, Grand Finale. Oh, we get a play-aside scheme. That's nice. Grand Finale. Deal 2 damage to an enemy for each different resource type you use to pay for this card. Choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. Nice. So if you use 3 different resources, and you can have up to 6 damage. That's actually pretty good. Alright, let's see what we want to do with Rogue. Superpower Adaptation. If touch is attached to a friendly character, search its owner's discard pile for an event that belongs to the same classification as the character. Identity specific aspect or basic, add that event to your hand. Oh, we can actually use another player's event. Well, that's kind of cool. Sudden Cross. 6 attack if you're using Sudden Cross. Armor, play only if your identity has the X-Men trait Toughness. Good luck getting through my impenetrable psionic exoskeleton. Oh, that's an ally. Okay. We'll keep the ally. Karma requires 4 resources. Jeez. When the boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all the boost icon on that card. Then deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon cancelled this way. That's actually also pretty good. I think we should get rid of Sudden Cross because we should probably get rid of Karma too. But Karma has that mind control thing, which is pretty cool. We can use that on a non-elite minion. But we can't, the problem here is we're not going to be able to do anything. We can't even pay for preemptive strike when that happens because we don't have that resource. Unless we get rid of Karma. So I guess, you know what, we'll keep Karma then. We should get rid of Sudden Cross then. Yeah, let's get our sudden cross and see what else we can get. X gene. Okay. And you can only use X gene when you go into your alter ego form. So, which is kind of weird. Play only if your identity has a mutant trait. Yeah, but you're still a mutant even though this should have been like X-Men mutant. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, you're an X-Men, but you're also a mutant. Why is it that you have to be an alter ego? You have to be in your alter ego form to be called a mutant. But then when you're X-Men, you're not. When you're one of the X-Men, you're not a mutant. Okay. Exhaust X gene generate wild resource for an identity specific event. Okay. Identity specific event. Okay. Alright, fine. I think we're ready to play. So Rogue gets to play first. We're gonna touch Rhino, so she gains 1 retaliate. Just put this here. We can't play anything really. We don't have any. The only thing we can play is preemptive strike. And we also have retaliate 1. So when Rhino attacks, we can do like 2 damage back to him. For each boost icon cancel this way? Wow. So the higher boost icon count, the more damage we get to incur upon Rhino, so that's actually pretty good, but then we'll lose karma, but that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and attack Rhino for 2 attack. So Rhino is gonna be at 26. And then, and the scenario here, the main scheme for Rhino is the break-in. It says that Rhino is trying to smash through the facility wall and steal a shipment of vibranium, and you must stop him. So that's basically what's going on. So Rogue and Jubilee is trying to stop Rhino from stealing vibranium. Okay, so now it's Jubilee's turn. We should play this. It doesn't have a cost. It says 0. Victory 0. Each X-Men character gets +1 forward while making a basic forward against this scheme. When defeated, each player may search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific event and add it to their hand. I guess that's pretty good, right? Because then you can find yeah, okay. That's 6. That's 6 threat or count, whatever you want to call it, for player side scheme. So look at Jubilee partying with a bunch of mutants that I'm not familiar with. There's an antler lady there. I don't know who that person is. What was the question that I have on this? Because I was just thinking about something. When you want to play a card, the resource. Let me just make sure. Like I said, I haven't played this in such a long time and I already made mistakes last night. Pay the card cost, see the resource cost. If the card is an ally. Resource costs are paid by generating resources. Resources can be generated in two ways. The first is to discard a card from hand, which generates a number of resources equal to the number of resource icon on the card. The second is to use a card with a resource ability. The resource type a card provides is at the bottom. A wild resource may be used as any other resource type. Okay. Generally, when playing cards from hand, any type or combined types of resources may be used to pay a card's cost. However, many abilities and encounter card effects require specific type or combination types of resources to be paid. So, so only when they ask for a specific resource to be paid. So actually, if it doesn't ask for a specific resource, you can actually just use any to pay for it. Okay, that's cool. I always thought that you always have to match the type of card it is. Like if it's like right here, flash a light. So this is why I need to play more of this game. I don't even remember this, because I'm sure that I played it right before, 3 years ago. Like even though at the bottom it has like that mental icon, it doesn't mean that you have to pay 2 mental resources to play the card. It's just that this card is considered a mental resource card. Because the wild thing, I think, is what confused me when I was playing this last night. Okay, when playing cards from hand, any type or combination of types of resources may be used to pay the card's cost. However, many abilities and encounter card effects require specific type or combination of types of resources to be paid. I wish they would put like an example, you know, but of course they don't. I guess we'll see though. We will see those cards. I don't think I've seen it on both of their decks. So except for like in a couple of the, like here with Grand Finale, depending on the type of resources that you use, you get to deal additional damage. So that's very specific to the different types of resources that you can use. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. Okay. So I could have actually summoned Karma earlier, but so let's see what we're gonna do here with Jubilee. So we activated the side, the play a side scheme, Generation X. So when we don't have anything better to do, we can start working on that. Now, we can actually do Grand Finale now if we want to. Oh, and look at that. We have 3 different types of resources that we can use, because there's a strength there, and then mental and energy. If we do that and use Grand Finale, we can deal 6 damage to Rhino, because it says deal 2 damage to an enemy. For each different resource types you use to pay for this card, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. So when does that mean that it's 8 damage? I think it's 8 damage because it says deal 2 damage to an enemy. Okay, that's the hero. It says hero action attack. And then it says for each different resource type you use to pay, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. So if you're using 3 different types, then you get to do the damage 3 more times. I mean, that's just reading it. I mean, that seems to be the case. That's 8 damage. And why is why is Jubilee doing like crazy amount of damage and Rogue isn't doing that? Okay. I mean, I think that's the case. Deal 2 damage, and then for each different resource type you use to pay, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. For each different resource type. This is on top of just dealing the 2 damage at the beginning. So I think it's 8 damage. It's probably worth doing that. But then you lose Flash of Light and Plasmoid Energy. I mean, is it worth doing that right now? Maybe. Before it gets out of control. Maybe we should. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. Probably gonna regret it, right? So Plasmoid Energy, you get 2 different types of resources there, bottom left hand corner, and the flavor text is saying cover your eyes team, it's about to get lit. And then we're going to use Flash of Light, and that's the fist icon there at the bottom. So, and the flavor text for this that's enough for me, folks. I'm out, but you know, shouldn't be reading those because we're just using the resource on those cards. So 3 different resources we're going to use. Grand Finale. So we're going to deal 8 damage. So deal 2 damage to an enemy. So deal 2 damage at the beginning. So down to 24. And then for each different resource type, and we use 3 different resource types to pay for this card, choose an enemy, and there's only one, Rhino. So for each, you deal 2 damage. So that's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's down to 18 HP. So we're able to remove 10 HP from him in the first round. And then it's not over yet, because now I can either attack Rhino or work on the player side scheme. I think we should work on the player side scheme. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we thwart for 1. Okay. Trigger request actions. Use basic attack, thwart, recovery part, change your form, limit once per round. We don't need to do that. End your turn. After all players have finished their turns, each player simultaneously discards any number of cards from their hand and draws up their hand size. Is there any cards here that I want to get rid of? No. Okay. So we're gonna keep all of those cards for Rogue, and then we get 3 more cards for Jubilee. Alright. Okay. seems kind of dark. There we go. Yay. Nope. Oh, and then readies each of their exhausted cards, so... Alright, so now it is Rhino's turn. So Rhino is going... Oh, first you place threat on the main scheme, so he gets 2 threat per turn around. And then for him to win, actually he needs 14 threats on the break-in here. Okay. If you're a hero in hero form, the enemies attack you. You may defend before the boost card is discarded. You mean revealed? I think that's what this says in the manual, right? Because it says enemies attack, give the villain face down card and encounter deck. This is a villain's boost card activation. The attack player chooses if they want to defend against the attack. To defend, the player must either exhaust their hero or exhaust an ally. If the attack player does not defend, any other player may defend against the attack by exhausting their hero or ally they control. Turn the boost card face up. So yeah, you don't get to see what the boost card is until you make the determination whether or not you want to defend. Well, we have preemptive strike, so we should definitely use preemptive strike. So we're going to go ahead and defend. The problem here is, since I'm defending, the next round I can't use their basic abilities. So I'm defending, and Rhino is going to, let's see what the boost is, +1. Okay, so 1 + 2, so it's 3 attack. But this is going, I'm going to go ahead and use preemptive strike, and I'm going to use, we'll just use X gene to pay for it. It costs 1 resource. We'll use X gene to pay for that. Hero interrupt defense. When the boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all boost icons. So 1 is canceled, and for each cancel icon, the villain gets damage. So now he's down to 17. But I also have retaliate 1, so he's gonna attack for 2. Rogue has 2 defense, so there's no damage, but Rogue gets to retaliate for 1. So now he's down to 16. Okay. Now he's gonna attack Jubilee. Oops. So we have to decide whether or not we want to defend. Jubilee should definitely defend because she has only 9 HP. We're gonna go ahead and defend. And oh no, nothing. Oh, this one doesn't have anything. Okay, that's right. Only if it has a star, you have to check to see what it does. So there's no damage boost, so it's just 2 attack. And Jubilee has 2 defense, so no damage. Okay, now we have to resolve the encounter card. So we're gonna start with Rogue. And then counter card, oh shit, it's the side scheme. Panic civilians crowd the area. It is difficult to confront Rhino without putting them at risk. Get the people to safety. So this is a crisis side scheme. So this, while this scheme is in play, you cannot remove threat from the main scheme. So you have to take care of this before. Yeah, it's as soon as possible you have to take care of it. But yeah. And then this side scheme actually gets 4 threats. Yeah. It's easier to just put the ones here. Okay. Alright, so now it is Jubilee's encounter card. And we get Treachery. When revealed, Rhino heals 4 damage. If no damage was healed this way, this card gains Surge. I don't know what Surge is. But even though that's not the case, I need a refresher of what Surge is. After player reveals a card with Surge, that player reveals an additional encounter card. Oh, that sucks. Thankfully, that's not the case here. So, he heals 4 damage. That's disgusting. So from 16, he's back to 20. So he only lost 8. HP during this first round. Okay. Okay, you go. Turn on the atmosphere.
All right, turning on the atmosphere.
Okay. All right, that's all done. We're gonna move the first player icon to Jubilee, because she gets to act first this round. Okay. Let's see what we have here. So Jubilee is exhausted, so she can't use her ability the resource ability here, because you have to exhaust her to generate a wild resource. And she can't do her basic actions. Okay, so let's see. We should definitely take care of crowd control. We should use Flash of Light. But it requires 2 resources. Because that will remove 3 threats. If you paid for this card using 2 different resource types, confuse an enemy. And what does that do? Confuse. Confused. A confused status card cancels a character's next scheme or thwart. Okay, that's actually pretty good. But the only problem with that is I would like to keep Firecracker if I can. So we will have to use Binding Flash and Sync as resources so that we can get a confused and remove 3 threats. Okay, and that way the break-in will not get an additional 2 threat. The beginning of the villain's phase. Okay, so I'll use Flash of Light. And I'm using Blinding Flash and Sync here as 2 different resource. Just like a wild resource, and then Sync is energy resource. So 2 different types of resources there. So we're going to remove 3 threats from the scheme. We have to remove crowd control first. And then Rhino gets confused. So he's not going to generate. We'll put it here. Threat in the next beginning of the villain phase. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's done for Jubilee. Now it's hey! Oh, because we use Preemptive Strike. So that's why we're down to 3 cards. Okay. You only get cards at the end of the player phase, so we can't do anything. I guess we can do superpower adaptation. Let's see, if touch is attached to... Oh, and then we get this back. Because a force response after the player phase begins. Find touch and set it aside. So now we have to... we can either touch Rhino again or touch Jubilee. There's no reason for us to touch Jubilee because Stalwart only... what does that do against Stalwart? I think it protects against Confuse and the other thing. Confuse and Stun, right? I don't think Rhino can confuse. Rhino might be able to confuse or stun you, actually. Yeah, cannot be stunned or confused. Okay. Yeah, it's not worth it right now, so I should definitely touch Rhino's muscular body. Okay, so we're gonna touch Rhino. So she still has the retaliate one. Okay, let's see. Superhero adaptation. Let's see if we want to use this. If touch is attached to a friendly character. Oh, so we have to touch a Jubilee for us to play this. Search its owner's discard pile for an event that belongs to the same classification as that character. Identity, specific, aspect, or basic. Add that event to your hand. Let's just look at this real quick. Identity specific. You mean a hero? Aspect or basic? What does that even mean? For an event that belongs to the same classification as that character. So, as long as it's a hero and it's an event, you can only get event. Aspect. Or basic. Oh, aspect, I think justice or something like that, right? So Jubilee is yellow. Looks like Rogue is yellow and green. Jubilee is just... How do you determine that? Oh no, I think Rogue is green, which is protection. So aspect would be... Okay. Find a character. Search its owner's discard pile for an event that belongs to the same classification as that character. Identity specific would be hero. Aspect or basic. Or basic card, I guess. Okay. Alright. But that's really cool though, because then that is very unique because, you know, that is so rogue. Because you're using another hero's ability, pretty much is what that is. But once you've taken that away from that person, though, does that go into our discard pile? Superpower adaptation. And that add that event to your hand, it says. So, I mean, but after you've used that event, does it go back to the other hero? I wonder if this question has been asked before. Marvel Champions, superhero adaptation, rogue. After the event has been used, which discard pile does it go to? It might be, they might have explained that in her little, manual that comes with the, let's see, it's probably in there, right? Superhero. Okay, superhero adaptation related question. After I play an event taken from them. See, the thing about Fantasy Flight games that I've noticed playing their games, they're very thorough when it comes to answering questions about the mechanics of their games. Like a lot of other board games, not even close to how thorough these guys are when it comes to addressing all the things that you can think of, asking when playing their games. After you play, that event is discard to the event owner's discard. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because then you have to steal it again, so that makes sense. Okay. It's a really cool power, though. Is there one that I want to steal? I mean, there's a lot of pretty cool. Like I can steal plasmoid energy. Oh no, that's not an event. I can steal. 3 steps ahead. Waylay. I can even steal Firecracker, but Firecracker still hasn't been used yet. I mean, Firecracker is really good. So maybe steal Firecracker once it's used. So maybe hold on to that for now. She can't do anything right now. The only thing she can use is superhero adaptation or armor, or summon armor. I guess that's the name of this mutant. It's armor. Hisako Ichiki. I'm not familiar with this mutant. But then I will lose superhero adaptation and karma. So you know what? But I have to do something though. If not, it's kind of wasteful to just not do anything during your turn. I mean, we'll get superhero adaptation back later. I mean, it's such a cool power. Oh, you don't have to even. It doesn't cost you anything to use superhero adaptation. Oh, but you have to touch Jubilee. You have to touch her. Do I want to cheat a little bit and say that I actually decided to touch Jubilee instead of Rhino? You know what? I'm just going to keep it the way it is, like this. So she's not going to do anything this round. That's fine. Okay, so both of them completed their turn, so... draw up their hand size and then readies the cards. Okay, so... she gets 2 more cards and Jubilee gets 3 more cards. Look at that, she got 3 firecrackers here. Nice. Firecracker does a lot of damage. It's like 6 damage. Some crazy shit. Okay, and then we ready up our characters. All exhausted cards. Okay, so that's done. So now it is villain phase. place threat on the main scheme, but since Rhino is confused, he doesn't get to do that this time around. So we remove the confused status, so he doesn't get to accumulate that. Okay, so now he's gonna attack. He's gonna attack Jubilee first. So now we have to decide whether or not we wanna. You really have to defend as Jubilee because she only has 9. Well, you know what? There's no way that he's gonna damage her for more than, and we can recover next turn. So, now when you change to your alter ego form, though, how does that work? How does that work? Recover. Oops. When do you recover? Oh, basic recovery power. Player exhausts their alter ego and heals a number of hit points equal to... Okay, so you do have to not be exhausted to use recovery. Okay, so we gotta keep that in mind. So you know what? She is not gonna defend. So she's just gonna get hit by Rhino. Hopefully the damage is not going to be catastrophic. Okay. Here's the boost card. And it is +1. So he attacks for 3. So Jubilee is down to 6. See, it's not that bad. And then now he's gonna attack Rogue. Is Rogue going to defend? I mean, the thing about Rogue is, like, her abilities, they don't require you to exhaust the card, like skin contact, touching characters. It doesn't require you to exhaust her cards, so she should definitely defend. So that's 2, and he doesn't get a boost, and she doesn't get hit, so nice. So it's 2 attack, and then she has 2 armor, 2 defense. So, and then now we have to resolve the encounter. So we're gonna start with Jubilee. Deadly touch. So, and that's gonna go to Rogue. So give to the Anna-Marie player. If touch is attached to a friendly character, deal 2 damage to that character. And this. What? So if it just happened that she had the if we were to have touch on Jubilee, then Jubilee gets damaged because I guess she was that's kind of cool actually, because I've never read this obligation for Rogue before. It's like over touching and then really hurting the other person. If touch is not attached to a friendly character, place 2 threat on the main scheme. What? Wait, so what does that mean though? I mean, it says give this to the player, but then you discard the card. Oh, okay, we're just giving it to her. But it's resolved immediately. If touch is not attached to... a friendly character. Place 2 threat on the main scheme. So... And then you just discard it? Okay. That's all you have to do. This is like you don't have to resolve it. I thought whenever you get an obligation card, it usually stays with you. Maybe it works differently for Rogue here. Obligation. Obligation, page 28. Obligation is encounter type that represents a commitment or obstacle that identity's alter ego might have to face. Each identity is associated with one or more obligation cards. If an identity is being played, all of that identity's associated obligation cards are shuffled into the encounter deck during setup. Identity-specific obligations are part of the associated identity-specific set. Identity-specific obligation can only be used alongside an identity if those cards share a set icon with that identity. If an obligation card is revealed from the encounter deck and that obligation instructs that it must be given to a specific player, place that obligation into that player's play area who controls the associated identity. That player must decide how to resolve the obligation. If an obligation cannot be given to a specific player for any reason, ignore the card's ability, remove it from the game, and reveal an additional encounter card. If a player reveals an obligation card from an encounter deck and that obligation does not instruct that it must be given to a specific player, the player places the obligation into their play area. If the player draws an obligation card from their player deck, they place the obligation into their play area. The player does not draw a card to replace the obligation unless they're refilling their hand to their hand size. Okay, so yeah, it's just that I never encountered a an obligation card that's just like resolved immediately like this. Or okay, so he gets his scheme, and this is done. So why do we even give it to the rogue player? We know who, Well, I guess if you're playing with couple of other people and just say, hey, this is yours, resolve that shit. Okay, all right, so now it is Rogue's encounter, and she gets Hydro Bomber. Okay, and then when revealed, oh, and then I forgot to retaliate for one, so he's down to 19 now. Choose either to take 2 damage or place a threat on the main scheme. Now, if I take the damage though, he gets damage for 1, you know, because I have retaliate, right? Or no? How does that work? I think that's only when you're directly attacked. Yeah, after a character will retaliate, X is attacked. This is just like your damage for 2. Like some kind of ambush. Anytime villain minion attacks, he deals 1 damage. For enemies retaliating back at you, this is only triggered if the damage you deal is from your basic attack. Yeah. Let me just... Somebody asked, does retaliate only trigger through actual attack actions, or does it also trigger from cards? Anything that qualifies as an attack, that includes basic attacks and abilities with the attack label. This is not an attack. Okay. It's just like, you just get damage. Okay, so why does this always have to close every time? Okay. Should I take the 2 damage? I can probably afford it, so you know what? Let's just take the 2 damage. So she's down to 9. That's fine. Okay. So, so that's all done. Past the first player token, so it's back to Rogue here. And now it's the player phase. We have this Hydra Bomber not to worry about. Yeah, it's all stacking up here. We still have to take care of crowd control. Oh, this is nice. Judoka skill. Oops. 3 judo counters. When you defend against enemy attack, remove 1 judo counter, and you get 2 attack for that attack. No, it says that enemy gets -2 attack. Oh, does that mean that the enemy gets 2 attack? I think it's -2 attack. Yeah, deal 4 damage. So it doesn't damage the enemy, it's just you give it -2. Basically nullify Rhino's basic attack. Okay. Still have to take care of this Hydro Bomber though. Maybe it's time to use Karma. Because after you play Karma from your hand, choose a non-elite minion, which is the Hydro Bomber. Take control of that minion and treat it as a control ally with a blank text box. Its thwart is equal to its printed scheme. And it takes 2 consequential damage after it thwarts or attack. I love it, but to play Karma, who only has 1 HP, I basically have to use all of my cards. But that will take care of the Hydro Bomber if I use Karma. It might be worth it. Because that way I don't have to worry about the Hydro Bomber. And I get this back and I have to decide, that's right, touch. Do I want to touch Jubilee or do I want to touch Rhino? I'm just going to touch. We don't have to use it immediately. We can only use it once, but we don't have to use it immediately. We can summon Karma because then I get Aerial trait. If I do that. What does Aerial do? I know it I know that you see Aerial. What does that do? Not Ariel, Aerial. It's not in here. Are you serious? Oh. I think it's just that when that affects like specific abilities. Yeah, no direct effect on gameplay. It just I think changes things. So in the abilities that you have. So let's just touch Rhino then, so we still get the retaliate. That's fine. Unless, yeah, because I'm not even going to use superpower adaptation. We're just going to go ahead and use karma so I can take care of Hydro Bomber immediately. So we're going to pay with all of our cards here because karma actually is very expensive. It's 4 resources to use her. So we're going to summon karma. And when she is summoned, after you play karma from your hand, choose a non-elite minion. So that's going to be the Hydro Bomber, who's going to get mind controlled. He's going to have 2 consequential. Okay, the HP is still the same. He can thwart for 1 and attack for 1. Okay. Nice. And karma doesn't even thwart or attack. You're only using her to mind control. That's it. That is all that she can do is mind control. She has 1 HP. I mean, she can defend for you, I guess, and that's it. But her main thing here is just to mind control. So so now the Hydro Bomber is ours. It's like our minion now. We're gonna use Hydro Bomber to take care of crowd control. That way we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then the consequential damage for thwarting or attacking. While karma is in play, so she also has to be in play to keep that mind control minion. They control that minion and treat it as a control ally with blank text box as thwart equal to printed scheme. Okay, so but it gets a 2 consequential. So after using it once, he's dead. But at least we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's done. And karma is just basically useless right now. She can defend. That's it. She can take 1 attack and then she's outlive her usefulness. Okay, so Jubilee. What are we gonna do with Jubilee? We can use multi-talented. The problem with using multi-talented is we have to get rid of 3 cards, which is fine. What we can do, attack and thwart. If you paid for this event using at least 1 fist, deal 2 damage to an enemy, and then mental, remove 2 threat from a scheme, and then energy, heal 2 damage from your identity. So let's just go ahead and do that. We'll save 1 firecracker though. I know there's another disguise card, so we're gonna use these 3, and we're gonna be able to use multi-talented and trigger all of those. So deal 2 damage to the enemy. So now he's down to 17. This is taking a while when you're playing it properly. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. Okay, well, here's the thing. He needs 14 for him to win. Should we continue? Should we get rid of this? Should we work this? Oh, and each X-Men gets a +1 thwart while making a basic thwart against this scheme. How did I thwart this before? So this should be actually a 4 instead of a 5, because when you do a basic thwart, did I use Jubilee's basic thwart to thwart this? I think I did. So this should actually be a 4. And if I didn't, then, you know, it's okay. I think I did, because I don't think there's another way that I can remove thwart. Let me double check. Is there like a card that I use to remove the thwart? Just trying to see if I actually use. No. Okay, so I use a basic thwart. So that should have been a 2, -2 instead of 1. Oh, I mean 4. Because it starts at 6. In each X-Men, if you have an X-Men trait, you get +1 thwart when using basic thwart. Okay, so now the question is, do I want to remove this or that? What's the benefit of taking care of this player side scheme? Each player may search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific event. That's actually very powerful. Let's go ahead and do that. So instead of 4, it's going to be 2. And then heal 2 on your character. So now she's back to 8. Okay. Now, do I want to just leave her active and then just defend when she gets attacked? That's probably a good idea. Or do I want to attack? No, I think I'm just going to leave her be. Okay, so she's done. Rogue's done. So we get to... well, no, because at the end of the player phase, she gets to reactivate. So let's go ahead and... Should I thwart or should I attack? I think we should attack. Oh no, I think we should thwart. Let's get rid of this. But do I want to get rid of that now? You can search your discard, their deck and discard pile? I don't think you reshuffle after you do a search though, right? So you get to look at your deck? Searching and shuffling. Okay, I think you do. Shuffle. Search. When a player is instructed to search for a card, the players are permitted to look at each of the cards in the search area. If the player finds a card that satisfies the criteria, adds the card to the game indicated. If the player finds multiple cards, cards being searched are not considered to leave the search area. If any portion of the deck is searched upon completion of that game step, game function, and card ability, shuffle that entire deck. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, why does it keep doing that? Okay. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So that's going to be 2 thwart. This is resolved. Oops. Each play may search their... Okay, let's see if there's anything I want here. I think we should get multi-talented again. Identity specific. Oh no, it's an identity specific event. So it has to be the specific Jubilee card. Okay, that's fine. She has some pretty good. We should grab Grand Finale. So I'll grab Grand Finale for Jubilee, and we don't have to shuffle this deck because I only check the discard. And for Rogue, I think we should take her Superpower Adaptation. So yeah, let's do that. So get Superpower Adaptation back. And that was easy. And then we get to get 3 more cards for Jubilee. And 4 more cards for Rogue. Look at that, now we have 2 Superpower Adaptation. So maybe that was a bad move. But I don't even know how many Superpower Adaptations we have. Well, that's cool. That's fine. I think I'm going to stop here though, because I think we've been playing for a while. Yeah, this is going to take a while, huh? Because we're barely damaging Rhino. I mean, I damaged him so fast last night because I was playing the game wrong. But so when we come back, oh, and then let's ready up all exhausted cards. So when we come back at this the villain phase, so yeah, it's pretty fun. Very challenging. This game's always been challenging. It's always been. It's never for me anyway. Like a guaranteed win for me when I do this Rhino encounter. I think I've only won like 30% of the time whenever I play against Rhino. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.